All right. I really appreciate you guys giving us time on Sunday evening. That really means a lot. I understand it must have been a week wherein you're settling in for the next one. And let's get started. So, all right. So, folks, first couple of minutes, we'll try understanding basics of AI agents, right? And right after that, what we will do is like we will get to building. We'll not spend too much time in theory. Uh, and I'll also give you a gist of like how much I plan to cover in this session versus how much more of it is still there, right? So that you understand what's actually going to be the difference between when you do these, let's say, free open sessions once versus when you join a structured program, right? Wherein we go in a lot more depth, right? So, all right, let's get to it. All right. So, folks, yeah, basics of it is something that we'll start and we'll try building one single agent or a single step agent, right? And we will also, try building one agent hands-on in this session using Anytin, right? So before we get started, I just want to ask to all of you, right, to understand like where you are in this preparation journey or yeah, I will try to wrap it up by 9. Yeah. All right. So have you created an AI agent earlier? You guys can write like simply yes, no. Mm-hmm. All right. All right. Okay. I'm still waiting. Folks, I would really appreciate if you guys can, take that little bit of pain to, interact in the chat would really help us make this really interactive. Awesome. Oh, because amazing. You've tried LangGraph. Yeah, that's a good one. Awesome. All right. Now, to the folks who have created, right? How comfortable you are on a scale of 1 to 5, and 5 means like extremely comfortable, which means like we should definitely exchange thoughts. And if you've just, let's say, watched some random YouTube videos, then I would recommend don't call yourself AI expert or someone who knows AI because they are just like, ready-made flows, right? Why I'm saying this? Because the moment you have to do any customizations or have to create a different flow for your use case, that would not work out if you don't understand everything, Abhishek. Thank you for being extremely honest. All right. Okay. Guys, you can type any number between 1 to 5 based on your build a few apps. Apps and agents are different stuff. All right. Negative. Okay. I didn't anticipate that one. Okay. All right. 3. Awesome. Thank you. Thank you, folks. Thanks for sharing it. Right? But before we get to building, let's try understanding like overall where the industry is moving, right? So at least in last 1 year, you guys definitely have noted that there have been completely new domains have emerged. The roles that they were, before AI have completely started changing, right? You can also let's start talking about, let's say, sales funnel, right? I'm sure many of you might have got call from some voice agents. There are widespread adoption that we're seeing across banking industry or in those specific industry wherein they are really lead intensive, wherein you really have to talk to customers and all, right? The first call is going from an AI agent and it looks like more of a person. Just imagine like what all used to happen before AI coming in, right? There were like a lot of customer support executives, right, who used to take that job, right? Even not that, even if you also talk about, let's say, customer support, you talk about, let's say, marketing, you talk about growth, operations, supply chain, right? Across every industry, there has been a widespread shift towards AI because entire industry, of course, initially they were hesitant, and of course, if you consider Indian ecosystem, apart from tier one companies or tech first companies, which are like only 0.01% of overall companies that we have in the country, right? There have been like a lot of late adopters who basically starts on this venture once they really see the potential of it, right? And not only from an industry perspective, because definitely everyone has to align in terms of like where overall industry is going, but beyond it, one has to for sure also try understanding if you don't align yourself with where the industry is going, then there's going to be definitely a I would say not a fit in terms of what the company is looking for versus what you have to gain, right? Now, coming back to the second point that I mentioned on the slide, which is future-proof skill set, right? I'm sure for many of the roles that you've seen, in fact, open product manager, any JD from tech first companies, um, as long as it's not a dedicated AI product manager role, even there is a functional product manager role, the company have started asking AI questions. Even on the JDs, they've started mentioning not in a mandatory, but a preferred skills if you know AI, right? I'll give you one question that I generally share with everyone. Otherwise, in the program we have like dedicated AI interviews, handbook that we share with our learners. But beyond that, right, I'll share you one question which was recently, I think 2 or 3 months back, was asked to one of our learner who was giving a functional product manager interview, and he was really asked an AI question, and he then started solving typically using those standard methods, and yeah, it didn't go well. So yeah, so please, one thing I would request, it's all right, it's up to you when you want to start upskilling and all, but at least try creating some space for it. AI this time has definitely come in a way that it is going to stay, and it is definitely going to take over a lot and almost every other industry possible, as long as we are not, let's say, highly compliance driven or regulatory driven, and there is really some negative implications, right? Apart from that, if you also look into overall number of roles searching, because of course, if you just look into the percentage, it'll be way more higher than this 200% only, because the initially the base was almost zero, and from zero then you would see the shift in terms of companies typically asking for AI product managers only, right? Now let's move forward. This is I'm giving you an overall idea in terms of where the market is moving, so that if you are, let's say, an early adopter, you can start upskilling early. Because if you talk about, of course, we've started our advanced AI, program for working professionals. There have been like more than 500 plus working professionals that have already trained themselves, right? So it's up to you when you realize, when you come to that interview stage, and not only interview stage, right? In a lot of times, if you are part of the bigger organizations, right, definitely there'll be verticals wherein the company would have started spending some money or creating those initiatives wherein AI specific charters would be taken up, right? And if you know AI, and if your org knows that you know AI, there are good chance that they can consider you. Otherwise, there will always be, let's say, a thought that, okay, would I get layoff next, right? And that's what, as that if you look into this, right, in 24 25, we still have a month in 25, right? Maximum number of layoffs have happened in non AI jobs, companies downsizing non technical team for AI automation. And yeah, this is basically the call for the market wherein you adopt for automate trend, right? And I'll also, this is something anyway you can see on the screen. I'll also share you three stages of AI learning, right? The first stage is wherein you just get comfortable with tools available in the market, right? And that is something you can say that you are at a stage wherein you're crawling, right? That's a AI learning crawling stage, right? Because a lot of you, I'm sure, might have definitely, let's say, tried apps like Lovable, right? And just because you've tried the app, just because you can write a human language, right? We then have two connotations. Okay, I know prompting. Second is I know AI, right? But trust me, not only you, even if you give that tool to a 10th pass student, right, and even if they'll write something there, that tool will build something, right? Try understanding it. This is not just because you're able to build something, this is not your win, this is the tool's win. The tools are designed that way that they can build something, right? Your wins would come when you would start integrating into your product roadmap. You'll start using it in the right way, right? So all of those things you need to understand. Just because you're exposed to certain tools does not mean that you're expert in it. You can really let's say build features or products, or take AI initiatives in respective departments in your specific organization, because that will require a lot more than just a tool level knowledge, which is something you can call comfortably. You have a crawling, you are right now at a crawling stage, right? The second stage is a walk stage, right? Wherein you start a structured learning, wherein you have an end-to-end idea about overall AI ecosystem, right? So that as a user, as a product manager, growth manager, you can decide for this specific use case, I should, definitely pick this specific model, this specific use case. This is how it'll go into the production and all, right? So once you have a holistic knowledge across the ecosystems of the frameworks, of the technical knowledge as well, and you are at a level wherein you can start having comfortable conversations with data scientists, around AI, that's a good stage wherein you can call yourself at a walking stage, right? Now the next stage is run stage, when you literally start building AI products at enterprise scale, right? So that is something which actually only comes once you start only experiencing in your specific companies, right? So that's what I wanted to give you overall heads up where the market is heading. I think in terms of the layoff, the market was quite I would say, silent in last couple of months, but then recently Amazon has broken silence, and it has announced that it's going to cut 14,000 jobs, right? So just think about it. All of a sudden, like, has Amazon, like, do they not have the work now? It's not the case. They might have even more work, right? But they've found a better way to do it, because all these companies always try to understand their primary motive is to reduce cost, increase profit, right? Wherever these see even a 1% chance wherein the cost could be cut, there's a first step company is going to take. They're not going to think about employee first, apart from handful of companies that you could really count on your fingertips, right? Apart from that, the entire market I'm talking about, they'll think, companies will always think company first, right? And they will not hesitate even twice when it comes to deciding the resource which could really stay with the company for a longer and can add value in terms of their roadmap or which direction they want to go in, right? That's your call. But then let's move forward. I'll just take a pause till this point. Anyone has any queries, questions, you can drop it in the chat. And right after this, I'll just go ahead and start explaining, and we'll try understanding, difference between LLMs versus agentic AI or AI agents, right? So I'll take a quick pause if anyone has any questions. And right after this, we'll start learning. Yeah. What was that? Yeah, Abhishek. I'll share that in the end. Yeah. Easy field. You have to decide your career trajectory, Nitish, and see like which type of companies, which type of roles you want to work in, and then try breaking it down from there. All right. Looks like we are aligned. No more questions. Now we'll go ahead and continue the learnings. Okay. All right. I'm sure everyone knows what LLMs are. LLMs are large language Ankit saying, to fine tune LLMs, does one need to know in depth natural language processing? No, not required at all. Uh, as long as you understand like how these foundational models like linear regression, logistic regression, neural network works, that should be good enough, right? In fact, since you've already joined, Ankit, I have also got that information from the team, the program. So this is something we'll be covering that in the topic. There's going to be a module on Hugging Face wherein we would try fine tuning some of the base models which are available in the market, right? And we'll try then comparing them against specific matrices, right? Awesome. All right. Will enterprise build their own foundational LMs? Oh, I'm not sure all the enterprises would have infra and capability to build their own foundational LLMs. The best the companies can go for are SLMs, which are small language models, wherein what they would try doing is they would try working on the base models available in an open source ecosystem and would train it specifically for that niche use case, right? So I hope that answers. Primarily, I think they would end up building on top of existing LLMs. Hope that answers your question, Vishal. Awesome. All right. Now let's move forward. And okay, see what LLMs are. LLMs are reactive in nature, right? So what reactive simply means, whenever you go to, let's say, any model or interface like ChatGPT or Gemini or Perplexity, Claude, right? So when you ask them a question, that is where they are going to revert, right? So when we first started building with LLMs, we were basically giving one prompt to one model and getting one response, right? That basically worked for chatbots or content generation, but not for systems that can act, reason, and collaborate with time over time, right? So, see, when AI has evolved, like from early 2000s to what we are seeing now in 2025, right? It was really a big milestone wherein AI has started generating human-like content, right? We really had a good run when GPT-3 have really made good mark for almost 9 to 10 months. And when the entire industry started adopting, then as a user, our expectations have increased that, okay, now AI started doing this, but can AI act on its own? And that's where, this entire AI agent concepts have started coming in. And AI agents as an ecosystem have provided an infra to build, AI capabilities over existing LLMs, wherein they can start act autonomously for specific use cases, right? That's where agents coming in, right? So agents can act proactively. You can just assign them a task. Let's take an example. Let's say you want to plan a trip from Bangalore to Goa, right? And if you take this query and add it in a drop it in a chat GPT LLM, and it'll just give you the static response, right? But if you actually have proper agentic AI ecosystems built, what this AI agents do is they'll have one agent, let's say, who are doing the searching, right, in terms of, okay, which are the best flights, hotels, places to visit, and all those things, right? There's going to be one agent who's going to do the comparison. There's going to be one agent who's going to make the payments, right? So AI agents basically come up with and gives us the ability to act in the real life or overall ecosystem scenarios, right? That's where they are differing from LLMs, which are static in nature. But you can't build agents without LLMs because they serve as a brain for operating an entire ecosystem. Right now, we'll go ahead and see the components of LLMs, right? So if you start deep diving on this, so prompting is something, one component which is very critical, which tells your AI agent, okay, this is the role you have to assume, or this is the, let's say, kind of task that you have to do, right? And you can write as exhaustive prompt as you can, depending on the use case, depending on, let's say, the specific prompting strategy that you're picking in, and also depending on the industry as well, right? So you can pick your specific, in-depth prompt once you have the detailed prompt in the instructions. And then the next component are LLMs, which are considered as brains for AI agent, because these are the agents who are doing reasoning and planning, right? They are doing all the thinking part, right? Once the thinking is done, then the task or execution happens, right? And that's how AI agents overall as an ecosystem works, right? These three sub capabilities that you're seeing here, right? Session memory is a component which helps you retain the previous conversations or previous interactions, right? So for example, let's say you have created a chatbot, right? So whenever you are saying hi to a chatbot, that's one run happening, right? But when you, let's say, had five conversations and then you asking a question, you definitely want your agent to remember what has happened in past, right? So it's like, let's say you're talking to a Swiggy customer support, right? And every time you're writing a message, you have to write as detailed as possible, right? You'll really get frustrated because ideally you're expecting a human to understand the context and then act accordingly, right? So whenever you would have use cases wherein you would want to retain the previous information, you would go ahead and use session memory, right? Knowledge base is something wherein you already have, let's say, some resources available, which would, kind of give more capabilities, more knowledge around that specific topic. You can do that. For example, let's say you are building a AI agent which is helping you for interview preparation, right? You've built a basic agent, and if you just ask, hey, can you tell me how to solve product improvement question, right? It'll just run as a simple query and give you the output. On the other hand, if you, let's say, have a book called product, this decode and conquer, or you have product interview preparation handbook by product space, or you, if you have these resources, right, you can add it in the database, right? So when it is querying, it'll not just randomly revert from a generic set of thoughts. It'll also refer the document which would have more subject matter, or I would say more nuanced content for you, and then it is going to pick the content from here and going to share back with you, right? Now coming back to tools, so what tools are, so I'm sure all of you heard that agents are trained till specific point in time. They're not trained till date the content that is there. And now let's imagine you want to build an AI agent which is going to give you the daily news updates, whatever is happening around AI, right? But since AI is not trained into it, right? How would you go ahead? How would you expect an LLM to give you that information? You won't be able to give that, right? That is where tools comes in, right? Tools allows you to give additional capabilities to AI agents, right? For example, using tools, you can give AI agents access to your database, right? You can give access to, let's say, Google search APIs, wherein it's doing the search on your behalf, taking the output and sharing the response, right? Once all of this information is acted upon, then LLM consider this prompt, all of this information, does the thinking, reasoning, planning, and then gives the final output, and accordingly whatever is the final task that is being executed, right? So this is how AI agents work, right? So this is the theory part that I wanted to cover with all of you. This is definitely planned for this session. Now what all or in depth that we cover in our program is quite extensive, wherein we go ahead and definitely try building around different platforms. We also touch base on industry grade frameworks like LangChain, LangGraph, Crow AI, AutoGen, React framework, right? There are different type of agents as well. Single agent, conversational agent, multi-step agents, right? So this overall ecosystem is quite vast, right? And there are then MCPs, agent to agent, architecture, RAG based agent, agent for automation, agents with tools, memory, right? So there are like, uh, uh, in fact, in any companies that you would see recently, or if you'll just search news on keyword of AI agent or agentic AI, you'll see that there are widespread acceptance in terms of adding these AI agents in the company's ecosystem, right? So that's where this is not it. In fact, recently Google have also kind of enhanced its capability of Google Vertex, which is Google's interface to build agents, right? So there are different ecosystems, and quite in depth is something that we're going to definitely cover in the program. Right now, let's get to building, right? And I'm sharing a URL if you guys have not tried N8N agent creation. So we will go ahead and build one agent together. I'm sharing the URL in the chat. All of you can go and do the sign up there. Once again, I'm just sharing the URL and then we'll try building that together. Yeah, please go ahead, sign up and try building it up. Okay, and Navneet is asking, Lokesh, yes, we have a lot of resources and books available on our website. You can definitely explore that, right? Will we also learn Google anti-gravity? No, we are not covering Google anti-gravity yet. I mean, see, when you get into this entire ecosystem, you have to keep in mind that you're not just getting caught by the buzz, right? You can learn anti-gravity, but how many companies are really kind of using anti-gravity, right? Learning Cursor would be helpful, learning GitHub would be helpful, right? But you have to be cautious in terms of see, you have to learn those specific ecosystems. It does not matter which platform or ecosystem you use. It's like you're booking a cab either from Uber or Ola, right? But your ultimate goal is to go from one location to another location, right? As long as you're able to do it using a different platform, that's okay, right? So, and there's no way anyone can learn, because if you talk about, let's say, this no code building, right? Even in no code building there are 20 plus applications, right, wherein you just give a detailed prompt, they'll build you something. There's no point learning everything, right? So create your own tech stack or AI stack, right, which is going to help you kind of meet all of your use cases, right? All right, so any free platform instead of N8N, and how can I connect my AI agent to my Mon Stack project? Okay, that's something we do in our program. You can check, Navneet, our capstone videos. You will see that how our advanced AI learners, they are able to build a full stack product which is like really functional and could even be launched in the market, right? Awesome. All right, now we'll go ahead. What could be the best, any free platform? I'm not sure. Free. What you can do is like you can use Langflow in your own device while locally hosting it, right? So of course, this is like a little bit of a technical setup wherein you have to do the Docker installation and all. If you're doing that, that will allow. In fact, you can also download Anytone in a desktop version and you can self-host it and all. But it'll come with its own limitation that whenever you shut down your laptop, your entire flow and everything would be gone, right? One thing you can do, you can save it, and then every time you have to reload and all, right? Yes, even N10 can be self-hosted. Exactly. Yes. What can be the best differentiating fac- factor between an AI agent and AI chatbot? How can we achieve? Why do you need smart Dev differentiating factor? Chatbot, you can say that. See, chatbot is something can be built multiple ways, right? You can simply build a rule-based engine, which is not using any AI. Which is simply using if-else logic, right? If a user is doing this, and in that case, you don't allow user to share open-ended questions, right? You only allow them to select something, right? So that does not use AI at all, right? That's simply a basic chatbot. You can use NLP as well, right? And of course, that's part of the AI. And this is where you're not using AI agent, right? And AI agent is something wherein you start using that agentic AI framework and ecosystem to build chatbot, right? Wherein you are working with LLMs. When you're working with LLMs, definitely you would end up, spending a lot more money, because every conversation would end up exhausting certain tokens, right? In case of NLP, that is something can be hosted within your own ecosystem and it'll save you a lot of money. So you have to see, that's why I'm saying that, just because we are in this fast-paced AI ecosystem, we don't have to get caught up by the buzz every other development that is coming every other day. We have to then cut the noise and see whatever is important, right? Does the program cover token optimization? Yes, we do that. Ankit, okay. Is there any features missing in self-hosted? No features, the same ecosystem. Only thing is like it'll be hosted on your own ecosystem, on your own device. Whenever you only one drawback is whenever you would, let's say, shut down your machine, the entire flow and everything would stop working, right? All right. Let's get to building, folks. Now, I'm sharing that URL again. Can you please confirm in the chat if you've done the sign up? If you want to do it along with me, otherwise, if you want to see how I do it, I can definitely give that, and that could be, relatively fast, right? Okay, I'm just pulling up my screen. Allow me a moment. No workspace. Once again, I have multiple tabs open. I'm just pulling up the right tab. Yes. In fact, we had an offline meet today. We have done that similar exercise in that as well. So, all right. So, okay, I'm just sharing my screen. No, Nitin, it's expensive when you go ahead and take the pricing on Anitin.io platform. But if you are using cloud hosting on WebSpace Kit or Hostinger or similar other platforms, right, it would literally charge you like $5 a month, right, versus 28 euros a month, right? It's a big difference, right? So yes, Sumang, exactly. All right, I'm sharing my screen. Okay, this is the flow that we'll be trying replicating, right? I'll show you what it does, and then we will try. This is basically an agent which is acting as a conversion rate optimizer, and what it does, like it takes any landing page and then does the analysis and gives you the detailed output, right? So let's try executing and see that how it works. So let's say now it is asking me the landing page URL. So let's say I go ahead and I go to resources, I take ebooks and guides page, and this is the mail ID on which I want it to send the summary. Now let's see here, the flow is working. Let's wait for it. So I'll explain it like when we'll start building this, um, how it is working, right? So everything worked well. It might have sent me the mail already. Yes. Now what we are trying to do is we'll try to see the fresh mail. I just received it 8:34 p.m., almost 0 minutes ago, right? And yeah, and you could see that, right? For this page, landing page order, missed opportunities and quick wins for product space resources, right? So yeah, now this is where you could see that we are, it has given a detailed, roasting of the page. The headline expert resources feels generic, lacking punch and proof, no real differentiating. Yeah. So yeah, it's just quite brutal. I should have picked other website, but yes, you could see that, right? Mobile UX seems overlooked. Key CTAs have low tab targets, no sticky buttons. Text fields are narrow on phones, likely frustrating users on smaller screens. Yes, we are working on this feedback parallelly, but you could see that it has roasted your page really well, and then it is yeah, then it is also giving you the recommendations as well, right? Headline overhaul, as in how can you change the headline, right? Boost hero visibility, right? So just wanted to check that, do you guys want to build this? Can share in the chat, or if you just need my version, I can just send you the JSON of it. You can confirm in the chat if you want to build it. We'll go ahead and try building it together. Otherwise, I'll just go ahead and explain you how each node is working and what all of it is doing. Yeah, I'm waiting for more responses. All right, all right. So got it. Okay, I'll also show you. This is one bot that we have built, which is like a chatbot, conversational chatbot, right? It does a lot of things, right? So let's ask, hey, can you tell me about uh, credit card offers on Myntra? Let's say while it is working, I'll just quickly check if the flow is in active mode. Yes, it is working, right? And it also takes voice input as well, right? Let me also try that. And I can say, all right, can you give me the order status of my last order? Let's see if it understand this or not. Okay, access to personal order details. Could you please provide your order ID? Okay, personal order details it doesn't have, but it's still asking for order ID. So now let's go ahead and share the order ID. So it's actually working on the voice inputs as well. Now let's see what it does. Does it give the, I'm not doing anything. I'm just on the screen. This is my cursor, right? Yeah. It's currently out for delivery in the Pune region. The estimated delivery time is, I'll just quickly show you which workflow this is being powered by. Mhm. Okay, it's not on this one. I'll show you it's on the other interface. One second. Yeah, this is, the interface which is powering, your voice, input and text input as well, right? So this is that extensive, and this is live in production, right? Stock analyzer, yeah. Stock analyzer also, yeah, I built two stock analyzers. One is like just to do the fundamental analysis, and the another one is like which does extensive tech analysis, right? So all right, anyway, let's get to building, this conversion rate optimizer. Um, I'm sharing the screen. Conversion rate optimizer. This is on this window. Okay, all right. All right. So whenever you start any workflow, right, what you actually need is a trigger, right? So trigger is something which initiates a workflow, right? So we'll try doing that first. All right. So what we want to actually do is like we want to take any website URL and we want to kind of roast it end to end. So I'll start with a form trigger, right, which will allow me to, let's say, send this URL or a link to any user and they can just enter their URL and do the website audit and conversion on their end as well, right? So I'll use this form node. I'll go to trigger, right, and I'll click here, right, and this is where you could see that I'll have to do the form title, right? So you can give uh conversion rate optimizer, right? Okay, give me any web URL. I will do the detailed analysis and share the, let's say, you know pain points or current challenges along with recommendations to work upon them, right? This is now, this is just, I'm not using any authentication right now. I'm just given a form title and a form description, right? And what I have to do is I have to also add a form element, right? So in this I'm going to add landing page URL, and this is going to be a mandatory field. You can say that, okay, give me share. Okay, share your web URL. This is a placeholder, and I will add one more field, and I'll just say that give me email ID, because this is the email ID on which the mail will be sent, right? So, and I'll just type select the email so that it'll do the proper validation. Enter mail ID where you want to send the mails. All right, that's it, right? So what I'll do is like I'll just try executing this. You could see that, right? Conversion rate optimizer, give me any web URL. I'll do the detailed analysis and share the pain points or current challenges, right? And this is the placeholder, looks good, right? So I'll again go ahead and take that resources page for now. You can pick any page that you want to. Here I'll just say, share one email ID which I have handy on the shared screen, and I will just add this, right? Okay. Now you could see that my output is received, right? And this node has run successfully. And this is the side of this interface. You could see that the right side is where this is, we are going to see the output, right? And now let's go back. Right now, what we have to do is like, see, once we have received the output, right? Or once we have received the user details, let's say, okay, this URL I want to do the analysis. Now, what you need, you also need the content of it, right? So for example, if you do the google.com, whatever you're seeing is just like, in a better visualized format. Ultimately, there's a HTML, CSS and JavaScript, which is working, right? So whatever you're seeing here, this is the content which is just presented better in that visualized format, right? So what we need is this entire content, right? So how your web works is whenever you write something in the URL and when you hint, kind of hit that web URL, it goes to those DNS records, pulls up the IP. IP is the location where the respective information is available or where the server is hosted, right? You take that, you go to that endpoint, take that information in the HTML, CSS, and JavaScript format, and your browser just renders it in a better format, right? So what we need to do in this flow is like we need this information. So how are we going to get this information? Okay, I'll close this. Yeah. How we're going to get this information is we're going to use an HTTP node, right? So I'm going to use this node, right? And get is API method, right? And this is where I have to write my endpoint, because this is where we are going to kind of send the URL, right? Or this is the URL for which we need the details, right? So I've just dragged and dropped this from here to this, and I'll just try executing this up. Right now, you could see that we have already received all the information here, right? And we don't have to touch any of these parameters because, when you're, entering something in an open source URL, you could see that, right? There's no authentication, nothing is required. You just hit that, endpoint and you received that information, right? That's what we have also done here, right? So we didn't do anything else, right? Now we have that information. Now what we want to do is like, now we have the data. Uh, and what we are further looking for is an AI agent or any expert who can, work with this information and really roast this up in a way how a conversion rate optimizer or a conversion rate expert would work in, right? That is where we're going to deploy AI agents who are going to assume this role, right? So now I'm going to look for AI agent. There's two ways. One, you can type it here. Otherwise, you can just click on AI node and you'll find it here, right? This is where, this is something I have explained, right? A deep dive into AI agents, right? You have prompt as a user instructions, right? This is where I'm going to, anyway, I'll share a detailed prompt in a moment, right? And this is the chat model, which is going to act as a brain. This is the memory, and this is tool component, and this is where you can add further nodes in the workflow, right? So yeah, first let's add the chat model. For adding a chat model, you can, let's say I'm going ahead with GPT. GPT generally, I think, mostly works well with paid models. If you want to use free model, you can also try Google AI Studio, right? I'm sharing that URL in the chat. You can generate your own API keys from there and use it. I'll share you how to use these API keys. So uh, whichever chat model you're using, so what you have to do is like look for this field credential to connect with, and then look for create new credential, and this is where enter your API key and then click on save. Once you save this, Of course, I have not added, but let's say I'm picking one API key again from my interface. Give me 1 second. Let me pull that up for CRO again. Okay. All right. So I'll just enter my API key and it should work well. Right now, the connection is set up successfully, right? So this is where you can do the multiple model selection. If you want to go into the more depth, right? Why would I go ahead with, let's say, GPT-3? Why should I pick GPT-4? Why should I pick GPT-5? Right? So if you have those specific model, specific use cases, you should then do a reasoning. But in this case, I think GPT 4.1 mini should work well, right? So yeah, we are not using any other capabilities right now. And at least in this flow, this is more of a single agent flow, a single step agent that we have built. We don't need memory and tools capabilities right now. And what we need is a detailed prompt, right? And why we need a detailed prompt? Because we have to tell the AI agent or this OpenAI chat model, this is the role that you have to assume. You have to work as a CRO expert, right? So I'm going to take my prompt from the previous model that I've built. I'm just going to copy paste this. And I've just done this right now. I'll expand this and show it to you. So see, you are a world-class conversion rate optimizer, expert who advises these folks on landing page performance. Your job is to audit the landing page text provided below and produce a subject line, fully formatted HTML email, and a plain text version of the same email, right? And this is where you could see that everything is explained in detail, objective, what the style that it has to follow, friendly, pro, sharp, no fluff, bullet points has to be less than 25 words, total output has to be not more than this. Of course, you can customize it for your respective use cases, but generally we are just doing it, let's say, for a learning purpose, and we don't want our mails to be very long and cluttered, right? But if you really want an extensive, let AI do its work, right? Now, yeah, now let's go ahead and understand this. This is more of a thinking direction that I'm giving. When you're getting a URL details, look for headline market fit, right? Look for CTA clarity, look for trust signals, right? Information hierarchy, right? Any price signaling which is there, mobile UX, right? So this is something, of course, if you have enough experience working around product as a PM, you might know a lot of these things. If you don't know, then you have to consult someone who knows, because this is the prompt you can write only if you know how this domain works. Because see, if you're not using AI agent, you're definitely going to use a human who is expert in doing this, right? So when a human is doing this specific job, they would definitely be following a checklist or a specific framework to follow the stepwise process. That is what we are writing in this prompt in a detailed manner, right? This is where I've defined the structure and everything. And this is where I have added this input data. So you could see on the right side the input data. This is something coming from this field, all these green highlight. If I delete this, the entire thing would go. How do I put it here? Just drag and drop this here, right? This is a placeholder for input, right? And this is another output format that I have tried giving it to. All right. So now this should work well now, and let's run this one, right? Let's see what do we get now. We will share a detailed resource guide on this, so don't worry. I understand following along the session could be a little tough, but yeah, I think you will also get the recording of this. Let's wait for this to work on. All right, it worked and it gave me an output, but this output is an HTML format, right? We'll not be able to read it up, right? So what we are going to do is, like, we're going to just send this to a Gmail and let Gmail do the decluttering, right? On Gmail, what do we want to do? The next step is send a message, right? Once we have done the analysis, you want to send it somewhere. You can send it to Gmail, you can send it to a website, you can send it to WhatsApp, you can send it to Telegram, wherever you are consuming this output, right? You can send that to a specific node. Now click on send a message, and you have to do is like basically click on the same process. I'll close this for now. Credential to connect with, expand this, click on create new credential, and then just do a simple sign in with Google. This is something you might be doing on every other website where you're doing the Google sign in, and give the required permission. Once you do that, your Google account would be connected. This account connection is required because this is going to be the primary account using which the mail will be sent, right? Now, this is the resource that we have to act upon. And yeah, you can also, instead of sending a message, you can also create a label, create a draft or a thread as well, right? Now, yeah, the operation is send, and you can also have multiple other operations, right? Reply, get, detail, and a lot of other things. Now, you remember in that Google form node, not a Google form node, I think anything form node, we have added one email ID. On that, we want to send the mail, right? This is something which is here, right? Subject, let's say we are adding, a website, or let's say CRO audit of, I'll add this URL, CRO audit of product space, right? So I'll just reduce the space. Okay, I'll create one space here. Yep. And since our output is an HTML, so you can send a mail in two ways. One is a text format, another is HTML. Since our output is an HTML, so what we're going to do is like we're going to drag and drop this, and we're going to send this up, right? Click on execute. Yeah, our mail would be sent. You can count to three. I think 3 seconds is good enough time for the mail to reflect. Now let's go here and let's reload this. Yeah, the mail has come in, right? CRO audit of this specific URL. I think I should add one more space here. Right now you could see that. Of course, it's not well defined right now in terms of, let's say, subject line is coming here, right? And then this is something which is properly written. And this is another, the text body is also coming, right? Basically, whatever is the output of AI agent, we are getting everything here, right? Now what we need is like we need one more way wherein we can declutter this, or we can make it more concise, right? That is where we're going to use another node, which is going to be of JavaScript code. What this code node does, it takes this HTML output. You could see there are three fields, right? So it's going to kind of, separate this output into three further variables, into subject line, mail body HTML, and mail body text, right? So I already have the code with me, and I'm going to I'll take that code from the previous node that I had, and I'll just copy paste this and just take this here and double click this. Okay, sorry, I have copy pasted again this one. 1 second. Okay. All right, 1 second. No, it didn't work. I think that's same content got copied again. Right, and what we have to do is like execute this step. Right now, let's see that what gives us. Now you could see that it has taken this output, and it had given us three further variables which are like, not cluttered. Right now, what we can do is like we can open that Gmail node, right? So you would notice that on the subject line we have added something manually, right? But we can drag and drop this here. We'll create one space here, and HTML. Now we want to send an HTML mail, so we're going to drag and drop this one, right? And there was one, this message was also coming, right? This email was sent automatically, right? So we're going to disable that for disabling append and intent attribution, right? Now let's try sending a mail. Let's see how our mail looks now. Let's wait for again 3 seconds. I think it should come in now. Yes, now you could see that, right? Mail is well drafted, well cluttered, say non-cluttered. Implementing these changes will, markedly increase conversions with quick wins on trust, clarity, and mobile usability, right? Now, this is the HTML version that you have sent, right? Let's say if you want to just send the text version, select a text type and remove this and drag and drop this one. Right now, you could execute this. Now, wait for 3 seconds, and you should get the mail. Yeah, now this is the text version of the mail that you've received, right? So yeah, this is how you build this up. Any